you remember from yesterday what went into the recruitment notebook for volunteers?
Job description, responsibilities, including time on their part. That will be
Okay.
The gift chart.
Gift chart. There you go. Case for support.
Case for support.
Timeline. Yeah, those are the main ingredients. Just for the recruitment.
And recruiting your volunteers, your leadership volunteers especially, that needs to be a very special one-on-one. Without your help and your abilities and your connections and your whatever you have, we may not be successful, and it needs to be something that we're really proud of being involved in. You gotta show them love. So special. Some of the things that person needs to have, obviously, is a strong belief in your organization and mission, strong belief in the campaign and what you're trying to accomplish. And I already mentioned that about attending meetings. Make a meaningful financial contribution. And then they're going to help identify and cultivate and solicit different folks, especially the higher levels. Again, they're going to help recruit the rest of the steering committee, and they need to be able to articulate your mission, your purpose, and promote it on.
Thing I like to have done is that for the steering committee, they're doing the heavy lifting on a campaign. And I always want to encourage the board members, some who may not be serving on the steering committee, just to go out of their way to thank the steering committee members for all of, for all that they're doing for their organization. It kind of goes back to the boards. It is the board's campaign. And they're the ones that should be thanking the people who are doing the real hard work.
Yeah, the people that are doing a really good job, especially, and doing hard work, you want to retain those people for even the next campaign. You don't want them to have a bad experience and then say, no, I did my job, I'm not about to jump into that again. Because if they're good at what they do, you're going to want to use them again down the road. Give them some time to breathe in between. But you'd like to be able to keep those people, retain those volunteers. Let's talk about the ask, because I think that's a big one. And again, if someone had told me, now I guess it'd be 20 years ago, that I'd be asking for money ever, I would tell them they're out of their mind. What's the difference between a good ask and a bad ask? Who's had bad ask? I'm a bad ask. What have you had personally? Someone asked you for a gift and it just was not. It just didn't work. I know of a situation in one of the organizations that someone had a bad ask, or maybe a few people had a bad ask. Anybody wants to share, like with some strong arming?
Oh, the Children's Home had a capital campaign several years ago. Brought in an outside consulting firm, not Sinclair Towns. And the consulting firm said, well, we're going to have contributions from staff leadership, mid-management and above. So this particular consultant had kind of a pale complexion and a really cool handshake that was fish-like. And he would corner the mid-management folks in their department and say, we figured this out and this is how much you owe. And this is at a time where these folks weren't making hardly any money, but they felt significantly pressured to give X thousands of dollars to this particular campaign. And that is still a residual effect in the children's home today, because those mid-management people are now upper management, and the concept of having 100% giving from staff immediately creates a, wait a minute, we've done that before and we didn't like it one bit.
Anyway, but we want to make sure that they're not cornered like that. This is an opportunity to, it should be joyful, it should be pleasant, it should be, make you feel good to give. You shouldn't be, you know, pressured and threatened or anything like that. So if you remember it in that way, this is a joyful exchange. Everybody's in a good mood, everybody feels good, you feel good about getting a gift, they feel good about giving a gift. That's the way it should be.
What do you think about the idea of, there's some that you know can certainly give more than others, whether it will or not, I don't know. But what if I'm in a department or whatever and say, if you would like to give this, you know, a gift to this, whatever, would you perhaps like to have X amount of dollars taken out of your paycheck per month to put in, you know, to support it? Have you ever seen anything like that?
All the time.
Payroll deduction,
Yeah,
yeah, make it
that's-
painless.
Typically the way.
We've got the form ready.
Yeah, okay.
Jason's tweaking it.
Oh, okay.
We do that internally for United Way.
Yeah,
So why wouldn't we do that for the children's home?
yeah, yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We
because
just started, I'm sorry,
No, you're right.
at new employee orientation, we now make an ask to our new employees. Our benevolence board was doing it. Why not do it
Oh, yeah.
for the foundation? So while they're new, some of them may feel pressured, I don't know, but we go ahead and make the ask, and we've had, say, 50 employees in orientation, we're averaging 50%, 25 of the 50 last month gave, so we're seeing a good return.
That's one thing, particularly in healthcare foundations. I cannot tell you how many times we have stiff-armed United Way to say, okay, y'all do great work, but we got the first crack at the employees. You know, let's
First
not,
crack at what?
the first crack at the employees of the, you know, team member giving. The solicitation to serve to give to the hospital is going to come before United Way comes in and starts, you know, going after the employees.
We were similar to the hospital related a little bit as far as the employees, where we had a capital campaign, raised almost $7 million, that was great. However, the inside out process, employees felt pressure to give. So we had a lot of pledge cards on the front end, but then we ended up writing them off on the back end. Of course, the people were terminated or they there's a certain percentage, I'm sure,
Exactly.
that relates, but they had such a bad experience for that the second round for our capital campaign, we didn't even ask employees that were getting a raise. There was a downturn in our financial performance at the hospital. So it was 5 years employees did not get a raise. So we didn't go to the employees and ask them for any money. So you have to pick the right time again when to.
What about administration?
Administration did give. We did ask senior leadership, but we did not ask a frontline employee that had not gotten a raise in 5 years. We did not go back to them. But we started asking our new employees that were coming in.
Okay.
Were they given an opportunity to give, not maybe sit down and ask, but were they given something
Yes,
to say,
we're
doing this,
Yes.
if you'd love to, you know.
We did.
Contribute
Once a
with
year, we would have an employee benefits fair, and we'd have a booth just like United Way. We had our refresher room information, our refresher room campaign was the name of it, and we at least asked them once a year to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And we had a good return.
Right.
But
And
we
I-
didn't do a full campaign just because of the circumstances.
Let me ask you this.
We might have left money on the table. Probably
Yeah,
did.
you did. You did.
I was being a weenie.
Yeah. Only being a winner. Okay, you do not want any kind of a hint of duress in this process. We are in the invitation extending business.
Yeah.
But one way I think you can, you know, appropriately calibrate a certain amount of pressure is having public recognition of all the employees who've given, which means that you're not putting the names of the people who are not giving. Now, we need to, you know, we need to recognize our donors, but sometimes that's enough, because if somebody can give $5 that can get your name up there, you know, and you can be a participant.
Yeah.
And so again, no duress, but it may be through recognition you can kind of up the.
Oh, along the lines of what you guys are talking about, I'm reading a book about how to make the ask, and I'm amazed at how it's just as important how we're talking about a bad ask. It's just as not a bad ask. It's just important to know about that, how to not do it, you know, because the wording is so critical.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the timing of when if you ask for something too soon before you've cultivated enough, or
If you've done your homework and you've done things right, then don't apologize for that
right,
ask.
or they'll say keep it positive, like you said, joyful,
Yeah.
and not. They even give examples in this book. That's why I was so intrigued when you talked about a bad ask. They give examples of here's what's not to say, and it says things like, don't talk about how our organization needs this because we're not doing well enough in this area. So we, you know, it implies it's too negative. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and the reason I was asking earlier if they had the opportunity to participate is because, believe it or not, there's going to be somebody out there that says, they didn't ask me. They didn't ask me to contribute. Why am I, you know, I thought I was a part of this organization.
That, you know, you don't want to down talk your organization, and particularly in healthcare, because you don't want to position yourselves as kind of like, you know, we're over here killing people. You know, because, you know, you got talent, you've got that being expressed in healing, life-giving ways, but we're just trying to move a good organization to a better organization. And that's a nuance, but that's an important nuance.
I had a question. What is the normal percentage that we can expect not to receive? So we've had a successful campaign. We've reached 100%.
Yeah.
About 92% is the going rate that you can expect.
Obviously, it is more of a collection issue the longer the pledge payment issue.
Right.
3 years has less of a collection issue than 5 years, is 7 years, is 10 years. People die, people move.
Circumstances
You know,
change.
but I'm thinking you may, you know, count about 5 or 10% of a discount. People die, people move. But what you want to do is to, in the out years, in school settings, I want to call it a new family program or something like that, so that the new people coming into the life of your organization and their new acquisition gifts can cover some of the diminution of people dying, people moving, collection issues, things like that.
And the second question is a payroll deduction. Of course, if we're giving to a charity, is that pre-tax or post-tax?
Oh, you get a deduction for it, yes, sir, Ray. I mean, you get X amount out of which comes and that goes to the healthcare foundation or whatever, or your organization, and you give a report back to that person to say, you know, you get this was your gift total, and it's tax deductible to the
So
full
then it would
extent
be
of the law.
deducted post-tax.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
them to
yeah.
go for tax stuff.
So it's your spending money.
Yeah. But, you know, the fact is, if you don't see it in your paycheck, it just feels a little less painful.
I know that's true. The
Well,
thou
yeah.
shalt not.
When you give donors an opportunity, or specifically employees an opportunity to give, in your opinion, is it okay to give them choices? Like at certain levels, like an hour pay period too,
Oh, yeah,
you know?
yeah, to
Do
make
the- do the math.
it palatable.
Do the math for them?
Yeah.
One thing that we were just talking about last week is that we think we give too low of a level of giving. We give a $5 option.
You got
You
anybody
may-
make $5 an hour?
Well, we found that last month, the majority of employees did $5. But did I say $5 an hour? I meant
No, you
$5
said
a
$5.
month.
But he's asking if that was,
The
Because I'm
majority.
thinking, how about an hour of work time a month dedicated to that?
That's what we're considering, raising that $5 to at least $10. to give a lower option, $10 to some employees,
Yeah.
You can
depending
do
on what
eight,
department they work in,
eight
it's a
something a
lot.
month will get you 100 a year,
Yeah.
which is a nice round number.
Calibrate, I mean, draw the line on the various levels of giving and calibrate your bottom, the bottom amount accordingly. You know, as you go up the ladder, up the bottom amount.
You know, even with bigger asks for donors, I think it's good to break it down. I mean, just because you may ask for $25,000 and they're kind of thinking, yeah, but then you say, $5,000 a year for the next 5 years in support of the campaign. Oh, yeah, I can do that. And it's just I don't know what it is, but it just sounds better.